All right, everyone. I'm excited to introduce my next guest. He's appeared all over the silver screen. I scream in the TV series Silicon Valley. It's Always Sunny. All those amazing things. But right now, currently saving lives week after week on Grey's Anatomy. So if you have chest pains, shortness of breath, or an irregular heartbeat, Dr. Winston Ndugu is here. He will see you now. Welcome to the show, Grace Sloan Memorial Hospital explosion survivor.
Thank you. One of
Anthony Hill. Hello, sir.
Thank you, man. That's a heck of an intro, dude. Explosion Survivor is maybe the best intro ever. I like that. I'm gonna keep that one and suggest it for future interviews, man.
Well, it, Grey's Anatomy is known for their kind of those dramatic shifts, So I, rest in peace to those that we lost. But
Yeah.
but we'll get to that. And you've been on Grey since like just like season 16 you started like
Yeah,
it's
actually. I
yeah.
was gonna say 17, but it's 16. Yeah, that's right. I did one episode in 16 before the pandemic shut everything down. And yeah, that's wild. This is my sixth season somehow. Pretty cool.
Well, somehow it's because the show has been on for 15,000 years. It's like,
Thousand and counting.
yeah, it's like, well, interestingly enough, I think it just crossed its 450th show, right?
That's right.
But here, the crazy thing is in 2023, when it was only a paltry 332 episodes, that's when it like set the record for primetime medical series. What do you got? You got Ozzy and Harriet had 435 episodes. So that was like one of the longest running ever. I think Lassie too, but like so this is I did the math by the way, 450 episodes. By the time someone hears this, yes, it may be more than 450 episodes, but like 450 episodes, 22,500 minutes. So anyone listening was like, "Oh, I'm not caught up." 375 hours. If you dedicated 15.6525 days straight, you could binge all of Grey's Anatomy.
Okay, wait a second. You crunched the numbers on this.
Yeah,
You said how?
375 hours.
Wow. So you're saying in 15 days,
But I
15,
did it at 50 minutes an episode because I figured it's not like 60 minutes, right? It's on first, but I figured it's probably maybe like, right,
so basically 2 weeks and a little bit, 2 weeks and some change straight. You're telling me
great. Like
every
grab the snacks, don't get up, power outages. I think
yeah.
we're good to go. So all right. So before you became part of Grey's Anatomy, the greatest show in the history of the world, longest running, did you always know you wanted to be an actor? Or is this something that from what age was this something that you're like, this is what I want to do?
Okay, yeah, man. I mean, I loved Halloween ever since I was teeny tiny. And like Halloween is kind of the closest thing to dressing up and being different characters and pretending to be somebody that you're not. And so I just always gravitated towards Halloween since probably age 5 or 6. And like I wasn't being scary stuff like you were like supposed to be. I was like playing like I was an old woman in first grade, like that kind of thing. And then like old man the next year, and then like a nerd a couple years after that. And it was like, stereotypical stuff. It was performances to me, which is so dumb, but it's actually like so magical. There's something about that I really liked. And I still obviously like that. And so I'd say first grade, 6 or 7 years old, I was like, this is something I want to do, man.
That's awesome. I'm a big Halloween fan as
Yeah.
well. I love it. Yeah, college, I would go all out. Scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz. I won a contest at the bar. I did.
Beautiful.
I think one of the greatest costumes I ever did, which was it's horrible when you put the time in and then it's a completely underappreciated costume at a party. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And so,
Oh, yeah.
my wife and I bought a pair of pants that was waist, I don't know, 1,000. So we could literally both fit in it. And then we're all dressed up and like balloons, and we were a party in your pants. And so like class, amazing, right? Now, aside from the fact that we got brochures from that company selling the oversized pants for probably the next 10 years, but it was a good thing. Well, it's funny when you do a certain costume and you realize, oh, we shouldn't have done this costume. We're stuck. next to each other the whole time. Not that it's, you know what I mean. You can't like go to the bathroom. You can't do anything.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of logistical issues with that, man. I'm not gonna lie. You probably didn't think all of them through, but it was a hit at the party.
Hit, yes.
People still talk about it. I guarantee it.
It's a great photo. And that's really what's important is you have to have a really good photo of the so when you look back on it.
That's
So
right, man. I have a photo in the yearbook when I was an old man and I was in third grade. It's like I was, third grade yearbook. There I am and playing an old man, committed. And so, like, it's fun to look back on that and have the picture. That's what's important. You're right. You know? Yeah.
I know, I know. So all right. So I know you're a Bachelor of Arts degree in college, but is this when you started taking it seriously? Besides the Halloween commitment, of course.
That was a different level commitment that I still try to achieve. I would say college was when it was like, could I turn this into a career? Would I like dare to do that? Because first of all, everybody says don't, don't do that. Like everybody. I can't think of really very many people. I can think of two professors that I had that were like adult mentors who said, you can do this. This is a good idea. You'll be able to work. Everybody else is like, don't, this is not smart. Like, what do you, this is a lottery to try to do this job consistently. And so that was the time though, time frame when I got serious about it. Community college, and then that parlayed into 4-year college. And that's when I really kind of got the foundation of like, how can you do this in the real world once you leave this bubble college town? So yeah, college was huge for that. That's when I decided.
And then you played football. Was football your fallback or was that
Jeez, man. Yeah, actually, I played football because going into college, I was like, I'm gonna be a pro football player. I'm playing in the NFL. I'm gonna play for the Chiefs. This is how it's gonna go. I had that mindset since I was a little kid. But it's funny because in my yearbook, keep talking about yearbooks. When I was in 6th grade, the little quote next to it is, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, actor or athlete. So I knew for a long time I wanted to do one of those. When I was playing ball in college, I realized this is not really for me. As much as I like the idea, I was breaking bones and like dislocating stuff. And like, it was just not a pleasant physical experience to play football at that level. So to continue on, first of all, I only would have played like, I might have been able to play in the NFL, but it would have been special teams and like here and there sporadically. It wouldn't have really been worth it for the pain and anguish that I would have for sure had to face. So anyway, I pivoted into acting full time. I tried to anyway, and it slowly started working out.
gets a Bachelor of Arts? 10 years later, distinguished alumni.
Indeed.
Indeed. Wow. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. They asked me to come back and like receive an award, which is crazy when you get that. It's like a weird thing. Feel like you were just there, first of all, but then like you're like, how distinguished am I? I did a couple of, you don't really. It's just a weird feeling, but I was accepting. It was cool. It was an honor to do something like that. Be seen kind of in that light of like successful person. It's kind of cool. So
Well, I didn't look up other Oklahoma State University. Maybe like the Grey's Anatomy thing, like just put you right to the top.
I mean, I don't think it's still not the top, but it would be that name is so well known, man, that it was like it helped for sure. Yeah. It's helpful.
All right, so you graduate with your Bachelor of Arts in Theater, and then what's the process to getting some of your early one? I mean, you did maybe some things before. One of your first things was NCIS, or at least an early one was NCIS. How did you land that? Did you get an agent? Did you get like what was the whole process of actually now becoming a working actor?
Right. I mean, first of all, I just want to clarify that my minor was in theater acting performance. My major was in entrepreneurship, business development. So I kind of still used that when I came out to LA. It was kind of like, as an actor, you're kind of your own entity. You're kind of your own business, literally from tax purposes, but you just kind of have to figure out how to make it work from marketing to like all this. So I wanted a business degree for that. And so that was my real degree, whatever you want to call it. But when I got here, it was tough, man. And it always is for everybody, usually. I did casting workshops. I did a lot of those. They were not really a thing anymore. But like it's weird because you would pay to go listen to these casting directors talk about, here's how we cast, and this is what happens behind the curtain, and blah, 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 to make a TV show. And then they would let us all kind of do scenes together. I got up in front of the NCIS casting directors and did a few scenes with this acting partner who's actually really great. That helped. And it kind of makes some casting directors lean in and say, I might see them if their agent calls me. And so that was kind of the start going to casting workshops and meeting casting directors in person and being able to get up in front of them and do your thing and show them kind of like without a real audition pressure. Here's the situation. Here's how I work, and here's whatever talent level I have. Blah blah blah, and they can kind of decide if they want to bring you in or not. And so NCIS casting directors brought me in a few times for that show and like the plethora of other shows they had, and ended up casting me in a pretty small role, but it was regardless my first thing. That trust was built from those workshops, man. So that's how it kind of really got started. I don't know if they're a thing anymore. I don't know, but it was so helpful and like pressure free.
And that's when the Oklahoma State University Alumni Committee are like, let's keep an eye on this guy. Keep an eye on this guy.
Guy on our radar.
This guy right here. This
He's on NCIS and he dies in the first 2 minutes, but he's got some. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's when they started. I don't know.
Looking back, like, or what things then were you learning, even just in that, just even witnessing being on like your first major TV set?
Cool question. I mean, it's like a whirlwind. You think you know what you're gonna see. You think you know what you're gonna get. I'm a type of guy who loves a lot of behind the scenes stuff anyway, so I'd always be watching different features and B-roll and the making of all that kind of thing. So I kind of understood what I thought to be a set environment. But then you get there and it's like, it's so fast paced because everybody is busy just doing, there's a million people like an ant colony just doing their thing in their specific department. At the same time that you're rushing around and they rush you from place to place, you're like waiting for hours. So it's this weird combination. They always say hurry up and wait, but it's like this really weird combination of having to figure out how to navigate the urgency and pressure of being rushed around to do a job, and then also the trickiness of having to wait 2 hours before you do this emotional scene where you're ready to go now, but you gotta wait until they're ready. And so like, it was this dance that I did not expect early on, and it's kind of a challenging thing to navigate.
It's amazing when you like even just hear stories like I just saw a random clip yesterday. They were talking about the 45 seconds in Psycho movie where like the girl gets killed in the shower. It's
yeah.
a ridiculous amount of time to film just that.
I want to say days. I think it's like days.
Yeah, I think it was like days. And I was like, all right, so now you're learning. And then I know you did a couple of things. What was Scream? I didn't even know Scream was a TV series.
I know. I didn't either. It was brand new. I think I was in the first season. Yeah. So it was brand new at the time, but I loved the movies so much. The original Scream is my favorite movie. So the audition came to me and I was like, I'm obsessed with this genre and with this story in particular. They're making it into a TV show. I have to try to figure out how to get on here. And I got cast as a deputy, which was a pretty small role, but it had the chance to grow into a bigger one. It was supposed to be one episode, but it turned into like a few. And I think it could have been more, to be honest with you, but whatever. There's a story behind that. Yeah, there's a story of why I think that probably came to an end. Yeah.
The ups and downs. All right. So I'm cherry picking shows that I love that you were on. So Silicon Valley, the documentary about
yeah, a small startup in Silicon Valley. Yeah, so fun. Man, great experience.
That was a funny, intense show. I call it a doc. I joke about it because I've done startups, so it's a little too real.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
I don't know much about startup world, but just from watching that show and from hearing people who are in it, and they're just like laughing at parts that I wouldn't laugh at because it's just all so spot on for that world. But I had a good time. Those guys are improv masters. Being able to hang with them, not an easy thing to do, but learning from them was really fun to sit back like a fly on the wall and see them doing scenes where my coverage is just kind of inconsequential. So I just get to kind of watch them go back and forth and hear take after take of different reactions or different, iterations of how the scene is going to go. And then the editors just figure out what they're going to use. It was such a masterclass in improv comedy. It's really amazing.
I worked with TJ Miller for a weekend. I do stand-up comedy. I do stand-up comedy.
Oh, cool.
And I witnessed that firsthand. Like I tell people, like I've never seen someone manage a crowd and handle a crowd like TJ Miller did. It was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, him and Thomas Middleditch were in a scene together that I got to watch, and I was just like, and Kumail, it was nuts. I don't understand how people can hit that level of just comfortability with improv comedy. It was incredible, like you said.
What was your role on Silicon Valley?
I was in the incubator while they were trying to figure out what to do with Pied Piper. And I was just one of the kind of like new additions to the team. And I kind of stood up to Thomas Middleditch's character and was just like, this isn't going to work. Blah, 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 whatever. And I ended up leaving and going and joining their rival company. So that's what my role was. I was kind of there to spice things up and ruin a few things. That's what the show really is, just backstab after backstab. And so I was part of that.
Amazing. And then another movie turned TV show, Rush Hour. I didn't even know this was a TV show either. I learned so much going through people's IMDb's.
Yeah, it's fascinating what they've put on TV. And that's like, look, it was a short-lived thing, but like I'm pretty sure people enjoyed it. But it was just kind of, it's hard to make something out of such a massive hit film. I don't know. I played a very small role in that. I couldn't tell you much about it. We went to the Disney. Okay, I need to figure out what this is called before I say it, but it's where it's like this big metal building in downtown LA. The Disney Orchestra, something, something. I'm the worst. But we went there and we shot there on location, and I played a bartender. So it was like a very small role to facilitate moving the plot forward in some way that was probably not needed because I think they cut most of what I did. It was just another experience where I got to be on something network, and I got Disney Concert Hall. That's what it was called. Thank you, PK. I think that like being on set in general at that stage was just valuable, regardless of how small the role was, because it was pretty small. But I got to see how the pace of a network TV show, and that just laid the groundwork for stuff like Grey's Anatomy later.
It always seems when I hear stories like this, it's like you could just meet that one right person at that particular thing. Every role is kind of worth it as you're coming up. Fuller House? You were in Fuller House? You were in everything. How to Get Away with Murder?
Yeah. Those are fun. I mean, any sitcom or like any, I guess, situation where you're in front of a live audience, multicam is just way different from. So it was fun to have things on my resume that show a little bit of genre range, I guess, because it's not easy to just jump into a live studio audience sitcom with a cast that's been together for years and just make it work and make people laugh, and then go do a procedural drama, How to Get Away with Murder in Shondaland on ABC. It's two very different genres and different multicam to single cam is just, I learned a lot. That's what I'm saying. It was like it's like a little clinic, a little mini clinic on how to jump genres and how to timing is so different. And what does that mean? And what does pacing mean? And how do you phrase this? And that didn't get a laugh. So how do I make people laugh? You work with the writers, you collaborate. Stuff that it now is so valuable. At that time, I was just like trying to survive, but I learned a lot. And so Fuller House and How to Get Away with Murder were around the same time, but so vastly different experiences. Crazy.
Did you watch Full House as a kid?
Oh, I loved Full House. I feel like everybody at least knew of Full House at some point in the 90s. And it was like, it was so nostalgic, but it was like classic, iconic TV. So I knew the characters. I knew who the characters were. Like John Stamos was there just watching and hanging out. He wasn't even in the episode. And so I got to like chat with him about just life. He was just the coolest dude. And then I got to do a scene with Stephanie Tanner, Sydney Sweeney, and not Sydney Sweeney.
Julie.
Julie. Yeah. It was kind of like a super surreal situation. And you're like, Jodie Sweeney. Yeah. Seeing somebody that you've watched on TV for years and years and years, and then being like in front of them with like the pressure of a live audience and like doing a scene, it was just so surreal. And like the little kid in me was like geeking out the whole time, and just the pace of that also. It's so nerve-wracking because you're literally on your little set. They have about 3 or 4 different sets in a line with the audience all watching, and they would light one up and do the show over here. And then the next scene, they would move the cameras over to the next set, light this setup and do that scene. And then the lights would go out and they'd move the cameras over. And so when they get to your little set, it's like game time. The lights come on, you can see the audience, you can see the cameras, and then here comes Jodie Sweet. It's just like a whirlwind of terror. And but I had a good time because you eventually get through it. You loosen up when the audience laughs once, and it's just like theater. And so I just like treated it like theater, and that's kind of what it was most closely tied to for me. So good times. Haven't thought about that in a minute.
Well, that was an awesome memory. Thank you. And then
Yeah.
another hilarious show that you were on. Speaking of comedies, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yes. So
Uh,
good.
you watch some of those episodes and you're like, how did this get on air? It's like,
I know.
it's so crazy, but so hilarious.
It is
So
so
hilarious.
funny, but it's outland. They cross every line multiple times. It's nuts.
Yeah, I find the shows that cross lines, as long as they cross every line, it's
Yes,
like
exactly.
Family Guy crosses every line. It's like you can't get upset because like everyone's in line. Yeah, some at some point. Everyone.
Exactly. You know, they don't discriminate on who they're just bashing ruthlessly, and that's what makes it work. But those guys are the best. And like I got this really cool experience of getting to go to Philadelphia with them because we shot some of the scenes of that episode in Philly, which they never do. They do it like once a season, once every other season, like sparingly, even less than that. And they just shoot in LA on the Fox lot and usually just cheat it for Philadelphia. But we got to go to Philly and I got to see that they're just like rock stars in that city. And there was just like mobs of people everywhere we would go, like chasing the car with them in it. It was a crazy experience, actually. But then, like, at the end of the day, they invited the guest cast to come down and have a drink at the hotel lobby bar and just shoot the shit and talk and just like kick it. And I just felt so welcomed and like I felt like we were friends. Like it was just a perfect experience for a show I had watched forever and I'm still a fan of. So I was hoping that that wouldn't get ruined, and it wasn't. It was so great. I loved it, man.
That's awesome. And then before we get into your current series, the other really cool show that you're on, and again, these are defined by shows that I watch that are
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
They're all cool, but Watchmen on HBO, amazing series. Wow.
Yeah. Regina King, like, come on. But that cast was just next level. And the quality, it felt like a movie. It felt like a big movie. It was so well done. And the creator of Lost, I believe. Him,
Yeah, the creators of Lost and Gene
yeah.
Smart was in that, and like, oh,
Yeah. Just the list goes on. It's nuts. And I somehow ended up on there. I sent a self tape in and I liked what I did, but I didn't expect it. You know, I knew it was a big HBO thing. They were very secretive about it. I didn't know exactly what it was. The sides were all fake, like they dummied sides. They gave us dummy sides, which is just they have characters that are just made up and lines that are made up, but it's similar vibe to what the actual scene will be. It was that high secret. And then I got the role and we shot it in Atlanta. So I got to go down to Atlanta and to film this, and it felt epic because I'd never been on something that felt so cinematic, and they had such a like detailed set, and they had built this little village to look like the 70s, and it was just spot on. And then you walk onto the set and you were just in that world, and I'd never experienced that. It's always like in a studio or something from my experiences up to that point. And so it was pretty special. And I just tried to really milk that situation and try to take it all in because it was, yeah, it's a pretty special moment. Great show.
amazing show. All right, let's talk about Grey's Anatomy.
Okay.
Talk to me about like just auditioning and getting the role because you were on Station 19 before
Yeah.
as a different character, and then you came back as a doc. But let's talk me through the journey.
It's already weird because there's very few people that have been in Shondaland's world of shows. This is the same universe as different characters. It's happened, but usually those shows are not running at the same time. They're usually like, oh, like Private Practice ended, so they took an actress from that and put her in Scandal or whatever. But these shows are running simultaneously, and one was on after the other on ABC. So to play one role in Station 19 before I got Grey's, and then the next year pop up in Grey's Anatomy as a completely different character was a lot of fans caught that. And they told me, they were like, just grow a beard. And that's why I have a beard still, because they were like, oh, just grow a beard and nobody will know that you're the same guy. That was their fix. And I was like, okay, yeah. People noticed and they were like, what? I thought this was the same universe. So that was kind of a thing for a second, but now it's all good. People are just like, it is what it is. My audition process, what led me to Grey's was getting roles like Station 19 and How to Get Away with Murder and For the People. Those are all Shonda Rhimes shows. And so I had been auditioning with that casting director, Linda Lowy, for years. Honestly, it's upsetting to say it because it's like so much time and effort has gone into it. But and sometimes it pays off, which in this case it did. But I built this relationship with Linda Lowy and their casting office so that they could trust me and realized I was consistent enough that they could count on me. They could send me to the set and know that guy's not going to embarrass us. At least we know that. So he'll know his lines and he'll try hard. We know that. Through a lot of no's, I auditioned for Grays 3 times and didn't get any of them until the third time I got the role. It was a guest star. I was out of town in Atlanta auditioning for something else, and I couldn't make it back in time to do Grays. So what ended up happening was they passed on me and gave it to somebody else. So there is a guest star that I would have done, and it would have been a 1 episode done for my Grays experience. I couldn't make it back in town, and it's crazy because I booked that role, and it hurt my heart at the time. Now I'm like, thank God I could not make it back in time because 2.5 years later, 3 years later, I got the audition for Winston. And so it had been a long process of auditioning, not only for that show, but for Shonda's shows in general before I ended up with a series regular offer. So quite a journey, but it's all good. It's all fun.
Yes, I imagine everything works out, right? I mean, all right. So you mentioned earlier with Fuller House how walking into a cast that they all knew each other, there was a vibe there. So you were there for 1 episode, right? But now you're walking in, into well, the first season and then reoccurring so you're in for the long
Yep.
haul here, but you're stepping into that type of environment, right? Because there's been
Yeah.
15 and a half seasons
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Grays, and now here's Dr. Winston.
Right. And they honestly, they told me that the first episode was just going to be 1, maybe 2. If I'm lucky, 3, but they were like, just count on a couple episodes. And I was like, okay. Any recurring is a miracle. To recur on anything is a miracle. And actors do not take that, lightly. So it was a big deal, especially something that I'd heard of. So that was good. And something that was like, well known. I did that first episode and then the pandemic hit. So I thought that was it because the show shut down for 6 months, 7 months, I think. And so, 6 months. And so 6 months time went by between me doing that 1 episode and then getting a call saying, hey, you want to come back as a series regular? We loved your episode. It's like 1 episode somehow led to me signing a contract to be a part of that world. So it was a dream that doesn't happen very often. I know that. And I'm so grateful because of that, because it's just a dream. It's one of those things where you're like, I would love to do an episode of something. And then they call me and say, hey, you want to be a regular on the show? Like it's so rare. And so that's what ended up happening. And I came into a situation where everybody knew each other for years. Not just the cast, but like the crew. There's some crew on that show who've been there since '05. And it's crazy to say that because we're talking over a decade at that point. And it was just, you could see a shorthand happening and like nicknames and like camaraderie. And I was just like on this island during the pandemic where I couldn't really even shake anybody's hand or say hey or give a hug. I just kind of had to do my own thing with my mask and stay in my lane. And it was quite a lonely experience my first season. I won't lie. It was rough, man. But eventually, I start to warm up to certain people and understand, oh, people are welcoming. They're cool. We lifted some sanctions from COVID and we got to like actually shake some hands and say hey and hang out. And then it was just like, oh, I get why this is a family. If you can work here and make it work, it's a great place to be. And I got that pretty quickly. And then they started adding more cast and now I got more friends. And it's just like, it was a built-in way to just have these cool relationships of not only like people you admire artistically, but it was like genuine friends and cool people. They were just good people off the set too. Yeah, my experience was interesting because of COVID, but after that part kind of started to dwindle and be more normal, it's been great, man. It's been a good time and I've learned a lot through it. A lot.
Were you a fan of the show before?
No.
Or did you
I,
watch?
w-
I mean,
I
what?
wasn't. I wasn't. I watched it before. I mean, I've watched a few times. I've heard of it. I'd heard about it for years. Whenever there was a big thing that happened, like so and so died or so and so got married or whatever, I would hear in pop culture. I would just hear about it, see it on different like late night shows, whatever. So I knew it was a thing and it kind of had a place in pop culture, but I never really watched it. I watched it in high school like once or twice. And that was about it. So I didn't really know the world very well, which was also a challenge coming in.
Yeah, when they killed off Denny way back when, it just broke my heart. I just
Sure.
and
No,
then you got to go and be Negan, so that worked out.
yeah, it worked out.
Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting you said like so when you were doing the one episode in season 16, you didn't necessarily know. They kind of said it, but there was nothing like written at that point that you necessarily were going to come back.
Oh, I didn't think I was. I expected not to because that's, it's nice to have wishful thinking in this industry, but it's like usually the numbers game of this all statistically, you ain't coming back for multiple episodes, especially on a show that doesn't really need anybody. It's a machine that goes, man. So I
Dr.
expected
Maggie Pierce needed you.
you're damn right. Dr. Maggie Pierce needed me very badly. Needed Winston in her world. So thank God for that, man. And that's another thing. Like, we don't know how chemistry is going to be. I met Kelly McCreary, who plays Dr. Maggie Pierce, on that day. The first day that we shot scenes together was my first time meeting her. They don't know when they're writing this stuff and when this guy auditions if they're going to have chemistry or if they're going to like each other as people or if they're going to even like make this believable. So I got lucky there that she's just phenomenal as an actress and a person, but also like there was some chemistry there that showed on screen. So that was a dice roll, man. I'm glad it worked out.
So it is possible the time you passed it up, because you're still, possible you could have gone in for that one and they go, we need you. I mean, unless that character had like stage 4 or something, then it would have been a little more limited. Yeah, we're bringing you in for a special episode.
Yeah, but limited if that's the case. But it was like I was like the husband of a patient type of a vibe. So it's possible, but it wasn't gonna happen. Like odds of that, nah. It was best that it worked out the way it worked out. I think.
So you got engaged on the show, you got married on the show.
Yeah,
She became your boss. Is that what's going on?
she did. Yeah, she became like head of cardio thoracic, and I moved to her hospital, and so that was a whole thing of like, can your partner be your boss in a healthy way without there being like heads butting professionally and then at home, and it was a fun thing to play. But ultimately, that didn't work out for them, for Winston and Maggie. Rough.
Worked out for you, Maggie. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Maggie not so much. But no, yeah, it was fun to play, man. Like challenging. It was a fun challenge though to try to figure out that dynamic, that work home life dynamic on screen.
So what are the filming the surgery scenes like? What do they do to what extent to make it feel real? Like what from our point of view, or even from your point of
Okay.
view?
Yeah, I was gonna say, from your point of view, that's one thing. That's one answer. From our point of view, it's never really that real. It's like it's a tough sell for us because A, we do it a lot, so it's like we know the tricks and like, okay, this is a tube that shoots blood, but it goes down underneath the table, and there's a little guy with a pump, and he's squeezing it. Like we can see his feet underneath the table while he's squeezing it. We know what's going on, and it's just not believable for us. But it's a fun challenge to try to make it feel real and urgent and life or death. As far as making it real for the audience, that's all that matters. They have it down to a science over there. They get how to tell good stories in a dramatic way in a medical scenario. They know how to do it. They've done it since season 1, and they're just like, it's like a tried formula, a tried and true formula that they just keep going back to, and they figured it out. They know how to pull at the heartstrings. They know how to gross people out. They know how to freak people out, and they do it really well. So learning how to do that as well has been fun. I'm like, okay, I've gone back and watched episodes so I can see how it's effective because I don't in person. It's just like, how is this going to work? Like we're piecing this together in a way that doesn't make any sense to me, and it's out of order. And this is like a rubber, like lung, like it just doesn't look or feel real. But then you watch it on Thursdays and you're like, whoa, that's an effective trick that they used. And it's pretty fun to see.
Is there any level of anxiety being part of the show, knowing the pattern of the show, which we just went through one of those disruptive patterns as season 21 and the new season begins, where people die and there's sort of, you're like, oh, if you had to go, how is there a way you'd want to go?
Oh gosh, I'll knock on wood first. I will say, if Winston had to go, I would want it to be something epic, like something unforgettably insane. so that people are just like, remember that one time when like I don't even know what it would be. I'm like Winston was like in that car and then it rolled off that cliff and then the leprechaun was at the bottom and he lit that fire and then there was this big explosion and the rainbow came out of the car. Like something crazy that's insane that like people would be like, what the hell was that? That's how I'd want to go. So a leprechaun would be involved always, and a pot of gold with rainbow. I don't know what I'm saying, but I do know this. I don't want to die on the show. I would like to have a situation, ideally, where if I go, I can come back. Like Kelly, Maggie Pierce comes back now and then. Jesse Williams plays Dr. Jackson Avery. He used to come back. And so, like, the character lives on out there somewhere. I think that would be ideal because, you know, you work hard to build a character and you hope that they can go live on somehow.
I don't know. I like your idea. Like, so if there's a leprechaun involved, I picture like the whole time you're like the leprechaun and everyone thinks you're crazy, right? Everyone thinks you're crazy. And like the whole episode, or maybe it's even like a 3-episode arc. We're like, why does he keep talking about leprechauns? And then you die and then everyone's like, oh my God. And then somebody turns and like pulls back this thing. And then there's that pot of gold there and they pick it up and someone just picks up the gold and it falls from their fingers, you know? And then like, you're like, oh my God. It was real.
It was real.
It was real.
Close up. Boom. And you know, we could have Kevin McKidd in it. He's Scottish, but you know, he could do the Irish accent. It wouldn't be offensive at all. It would be a great episode of TV, and I think it would be one for the books. It'd be classic, man. I'll pitch it. I'll pitch it tomorrow.
Pitch it. Just get me as a co-writer, and then
yeah, I got you. Hello, Emmys.
Oh man. So okay, here's a few questions for you. All right, you play a cardiothoracic, which is such. What are the words that are? I had to practice that word before.
It's a tough one, man.
It's a tough word. What are some of the tough words that you've had to say? Is there?
Well, that's the thing. I forgot how to say them, and I don't know what they are anymore because they go in and out, and it's like I have to figure out how to say this for this moment today a few times, and then I never have to say it again or think about it again. So to recall some of those, tricky. I can think of some that are tricky, but I know how to say, like things like anastomosis and like cardiomyopathy, anastomosis, stuff like that is like weird for a regular guy like me to say. But once you get the vernacular down, cardiomyopathy, anastomosis is something that can roll off pretty easily. But then there's some times where there's a device or something named after a doctor, and the doctor is from like Lord knows where, and their last name is just indecipherable. And it looks like a jumble of it just looks like a jumble of nonsense, really. And you have to figure out how to say those words for those devices casually, like you say it all the time, and then couple that with whatever you're trying to tell the patient they've been diagnosed with, and then couple that with the emotion and like the intensity and pressure of the moment. And then like and couple that with the pace and the timing of the fact that this is network TV and we have to get to commercial. So you have to spit all of this out very quickly while you're walking and talking. It's just like all of that makes it very difficult. So one word or two words that I struggled with, there's a billion, and I can't remember any of them to answer your question.
All right, no worries. All right, so about 80 plus episodes as a you actually get to say, oh, I play a doctor on TV. So that's actually pretty cool. And then so as a fake cardiothoracic surgeon.
Cardiothoracic surgeon.
How confident are you that you could actually crack someone's chest open now? Do you feel you could do it if it like came down to it?
There's 0% confident. I could crack somebody's chest open, but it wouldn't be like medically safe. It would be a nightmare for everybody involved. I could take direction for how to do something in an OR, but it would not be done well. It would be awful, and the person would not make it. Like if you leave it up to me. But if I had like somebody like mentoring me and saying, okay, now take this tool and to the left, slide it over and see the organ, I could probably figure that out slowly, but it would not be, there's not confidence there, man. It would be horrible.
That would be a mess. All right, so here, if someone faints on set, does your fake doctor instinct kick in and you run towards them, or do you have like or do you wait and like go, oh, we need someone here? Like,
This,
do you have that moment where you're like, oh, I think I can't. Oh, you know what? I really can't do this.
to be honest with you, I mean, I would probably lean towards like helping them, but I would do that in life before I got on the show. I would try to do something if I see somebody fall out. But as far as like, oh, they're like, there's something medical happening here, who can help? I'm sprinting in the other direction, but like calling for help. I'm not like just gonna like try to help somebody medically having an episode. I could do CPR, but that's where my skills end. I'm certified in that, and that's been for years and years. But beyond that, man, you're gonna be hard pressed to find me running towards a medical episode. It would not be smart for anybody involved.
All right. If you're watching a real medical drama or documentary, do you
Mhm.
critique their technique?
I can critique. I actually have. I watched a documentary because I was trying to actually help myself with my role. And I was watching a documentary on Netflix about a hospital that's in New York, and they have a lot of trauma cases and a lot of craziness going on. And I was watching pretty closely while they were doing their suturing in a specific case, which is just the sewing of an organ. They were sewing an organ closed, and there's spacing that happens with a proper suture that's important. I noticed that it was a little sloppy. And I'm not gonna lie, I might have been able to pull it off a little cleaner. And I thought that thought in my mind, and I was like, what the hell am I saying? Like, this is like an urgent, real situation. And I'm like, oh, the sutures, like they obviously knew what they were doing, but I found myself critiquing the spacing of somebody's sewing. It was like a liver together. It was nuts, man. But I have a few skills, but they are very minimal.
Do they put you through like a doctor training camp, like a fake doctor training camp, so that you could like learn how to hold a scalpel or like little things like that?
You know what's crazy and what's actually kind of messed up? They do that for the new people. They put everybody through they call it like a boot camp, a medical boot camp. And you can learn how to hold a tool. You can like show how to sew this, and you can this is what it happens when you give when you're doing a transplant. This is what happens. And you get to learn a bunch in this boot camp fashion. I never got that. And I'm always like, what? I hear these new characters saying, "Oh, I went to my medical boot camp yesterday." And I'm like, "What?" I just got thrown into the fire when I first got there, and they had me like doing very complex surgeries in a cardiothoracic specialty, playing somebody who'd been doing it for 15, 16, 17 years, and I had never even heard of it, couldn't pronounce it, and was trying to act like I was a seasoned pro with no help or like pre-boot camp training. So I'm like the only person I think who has not gone through that boot camp, but it does exist from what I hear.
When you're being filmed, do you have like a fake go-to doctor move? And what I mean by that is like if you said something interesting, I'm like my fake move would be like, hmm, you know,
That's a pretty solid fake move. Can I steal that?
yeah, yeah,
Good,
yeah.
good, man. Okay. Hmm.
Hmm.
Some of the guy, I actually pictured a character on the show who does that a lot. I won't say who it is, but like that's maybe somebody's go-to. My go-to is I don't think I have one. I don't want to ever say if I do, because then people are gonna look for my go-to. And but like I would say what happens a lot is like we're always in some scenario where we have to be very surprised by what we're seeing pop up on the scans. And so there's always like we have to find different ways to show just being shocked from what we're some absurd diagnosis we're seeing on the scans pop up on the screen. And they got the camera right on you, and you just have to find a way to be like, oh wow. It's such a challenging thing to do from week to week when you're literally looking at a piece of X, like an X on the wall. They put a piece of tape there, and they're like, "Okay, you're shocked," and it's like, "Okay." So that is something that we do a lot, but I don't think I have a go-to for it. I just try to figure out how to make it fresh every time.
Like if I say like if someone goes, we don't think he's gonna make it, what would your face be? Would you be like,
I would go
hmm,
because I would steal it from you.
would you
No,
watch it? Hmm.
I would honestly like if somebody says you're not, I don't think they're gonna make it. It's pretty routine to hear that in a hospital, man. You're not gonna see much of anything from Winston.
One thing I learned while kind of you're like you got this, you got. Yeah, so one thing I learned while kind of just digging in the grades a little bit, which I didn't realize, maybe I'm the only one who didn't know this, but every episode name is a song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful
So
touch. Shonda Rhimes, man, she's brilliant.
I should have asked you the episode where you die. What song would you want the episode to be named?
Oh, clearly it would be a an Irish limerick, an Irish nursery rhyme, something fresh out of Dublin that only the cool kids on the streets in Ireland know. A deep cut, a deep Irish cut that people love and adore there. That's what it would be. And again, this would not be an offensive episode at all. It'd be great. Everything would be smooth.
The most complex fake procedure you've ever done? Like, oh my
Um,
God, I can't believe we removed the.
they base them on real things often, and oftentimes with my character, which is cool, they base them on things that have been done once. So it's like this ain't happening ever again, or maybe in another 10 years this might happen once. Things like that tend to happen. So I'm thinking back on the Rolodex of surgeries I've done. I'd say an interesting one was, oh man, it's kind of a sad one too, but like a baby heart transplant. And what was eye-opening about it was we had to we had to combine, unfortunately, a transplant heart from a baby with half of the heart that was already in the baby that was working. And so it was all of that being said, the heart is about the size of a strawberry. And so it's like this beautiful, delicate story, but like it was so complex. And they did this, and I don't want to butcher where this happened, but they ended up splicing surgery footage from the actual thing that they did, and we had to match. Our hands had to match what their hands did in this video. So we had to watch this video, me and Kelly, over and over and over, and just duplicate the choreography for what they did, so they could cut back and forth in between the real doctors doing it and us doing it, and pull off this heart transplant for this infant. And it was so complicated and just crazy, but just miraculous. So yeah, that's probably it.
Very cool. Very awesome.
Yeah.
Anthony, thanks for hanging out with me. Appreciate it.
This has been fun. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Is there places to keep up with you on the socials?
Yeah, I mean, my handle is Ant Hill, but it has three L's because somebody got Ant Hill with two and he won't let me have it. So three L's. And yeah, you can keep up with me on socials there. And then Grey's Anatomy, you can see me on there on ABC every Thursday. It'll be on Hulu the next day. So ABC, Hulu, whatever, Thursdays.
And you can watch all the back episodes on Hulu also.
Yeah, you can go all the way back to season one if you want to.
There you
And then
go.
take 15 and a half days and watch it straight through.
Straight through. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you.